Hello, I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks for the invitation, CDTRP. So I'm Mélanie Dieude. I'm now the Director of Research Operation, Medical Affairs and Innovation for HEMA Quebec. And I've been working for CDTRP for a long time. I'm very proud to still be an active member of the network. So I started as a national research manager for Project 3, and then became a principal scientific officer for CDTRP, and then was appointed to be executive director from 2020 to 2022. And now I moved to Quebec, but I still have a lot of friends and still collaborate with people at CDTRP. So something I wanted to share with you is my experience as a national manager way back in 2014, I think. So P3 that we call was really focused on on injury, ischemia injury, ischemic injury. And the message that it would give to the immune system, so in transplantation, in rejection, and both in solid organ transplant and also in stem cell transplant patient, particularly in GVHD. So it was a very, very interesting group of people because we came from all around Canada, first of all, and second, with all kind of disciplines. So you had a lot of basic scientists, just like me, and you had also clinicians, we had surgeons, we had chemists, we had people interested in extracellular vesicles, some of them kept on working on them, like me, Marie-Josée Hébert, and others, with Éric Boilard and others. And what was really interesting is that because we came from all different type of knowledge, bringing all those things together was very fruitful. And something, I remember a presentation we made a couple of years after, with Marcus Zelsner, Éric Boilard, and myself, talking about the impact of extracellular vesicles in ischemic perfusion ex vivo. And it was so interesting to have all those different background, all those different experience and expertise working together towards the same goal. Another example was the kind of gentle fight between people working on epithelial cells and others working on endothelial cells, and looking at how cells were actually dying during ischemia. And this kind of challenge between someone like Tony Jevnikar and Dan Marouve and then Marie-Josée, who's more endothelial centric, was quite interesting, and actually came to a lot of different observation, looking at, for example, in the kidney, how do epithelial cells work versus endothelial cells. Anyways, it was quite exciting discussion, and I don't think we would have had such fruitful and fertile collaboration outside of CDTRP. So it was kind of every time you had those meetings, you had to be prepared and be ready to answer those questions. And then we can see in the publication that stems from CDTRP that there's a lot of collaboration throughout those things. We had also chemists like Chris Caro from Glyconet that was also very interested in working with us, and Lori in that P3, and so we had a very interesting conversation. I have to say, some of us didn't understand everything about the chemistry, but we were quite happy to be able to work together and have experts helping us in understanding some of those physiopathological pathways. From P3, Another thing that really came along was the fact that, of course, we were meeting nationally, but we also had very important international collaborators. And then CDTRP got the idea to invite everybody in Edmonton and to do a summit. And we invited a lot of international experts. So I'm looking at my screen because there's a lot. So we had, of course, Lori that invited us even to her house in Edmonton. We had Dan Maruvi, Lakshman, Gunaratman. We had Dr. Kumar, Emmanuel Zorn, Chris Caro, Darren Freed, Kirk Schultz, Rob Fairchild, Marie-Josée, and we had Megan Seid, Jerry Ritz. It was so important and so fruitful discussion. And what's interesting is that we had so many good discussion that we made a point of publishing a paper that I wrote with all those co-authors called New Answers and to Old Conundrum, what antibodies, exosomes, and inflammasome bring to the conversation. And so that was a report from that very interesting summit that we held. And I would, again, with the support of CNTRP at the time, without that support, we wouldn't be able to have those all those conversations. And as you follow the literature, after a lot of these ideas came to a lot of the discoveries afterwards, and still tint a lot of those programs of these people. And finally, what I would like to talk about is what really unique about CDTRP for me. So there's two things I wanted to acknowledge. So first, I'm a basic scientist, I'm an immunologist, and be able to work for CDTRP would open a whole interdisciplinary area. I was able to discuss with all type of people working in social sciences, working in chemistry, physics, to surgeons, to everybody. And that type of atmosphere really brings a new idea to another level. Second, of course, and you all, some of you know that, the patient partnership. So I've worked a lot with Sylvain Bédard, Manuel Escoto, Sandra Ellsworth, and I'm not going to name everybody because there's so many of them. And this really changed not only my work as a scientist, definitely changed my work as a scientist, but changed also the way I see things, the way I am as a human being. And when your work brings you to another level like that, that's very important. And I would like to say that it's probably the most important thing that happened for me in the CDTRP. I still have friends in the network, and the fact to the importance of bringing the patient expertise and patient priority and experience in our scientific endeavor for me is a no-brainer. And when I go in some meetings or so, when I don't see patient, that's the first thing I think and I see, and I'm happy to bring that forward as I go. The second thing I wanted to say is that that's more personal, but I would say that since also the way I am as a scientific worker as well, is that when they appointed me to be the national manager, I was pregnant. And so they knew I was going to be away for a few months after the delivery. And they still, Marie-Josée and Lori still thought that I was going to be the one to be able to do the job afterwards. So this is a unique trust, I would say, that it put in me, and it's something that I really keep into my heart. So thanks CDTRP, thanks Lori, thanks Marie-Josée for your trust. And I have to say that the new executive director, Patricia Gongol, it's the same thing that happened when I had to find someone to work with us in 2021. in 2020, actually. Patricia was actually an excellent candidate, and she definitely was the one I wanted to work with. She was heavily pregnant, and I knew she was going to be away, but I said, it might not be short-term the best idea not to recruit anyone, but I'm ready to wait for her. And now I can say that this was totally worth it, as she's doing a fantastic job as the exec director of CDTRP. So that's it. So for me, CDTRP as a family is a place to be, and a place to have very stimulating scientific and personal discussions. So thanks for having me today.